Karen Waldron, one of my favorite bloggers, wrote about a conversation she had with her mother a while ago. Her mother said, "You young people just understand these computers so easily. How did you learn all of this? I just don't understand any of it. I'm determined to go take a class." Karen said, "I don't know, Mom, I just learned it." "No, but did you take a class in university or somewhere else?" "No, I don't remember taking a class." She looked at Karen skeptically. "Well, I'm taking a class." There are things that we just pick up, especially when we're young. Kids today are surrounded by computers and DVD players and cell phones. It's like they learn how to use them through osmosis. Frank says that when he watches his son Joshua play a video game, it's like the controller is just an extension of his hand. What about giving? Are you like Karen and the kids today, and giving just comes naturally to you? Or is giving an uncomfortable subject that you'd rather not think about and rather not hear about? Well, I want giving to be natural for our kids, just like computers are natural for them. I want God and the Bible and worship to be natural for them too. I'm putting together some units on the Bible, understanding their Bible, and on worship, understanding worship for the older elementary Sunday school class, so that they learn about these things now while they're young. And I want them to learn about giving too. That's why we bought all the kids moon jars. And that's why we're sharing with them about spending and about saving and about giving. It's also why we have the noisy offering every month. Now, the noisy offering is a great way to give to a mission project, but even more important than giving money to a mission project, it's teaching our kids about giving. Helping our kids make giving a deep part of their lives is one of the most important things that we can do as a congregation. Do you remember when or how you were taught about giving? I have vague recollections of bringing a quarter to put in the offering basket in Sunday school, and vague memories of the offering plate going by during worship. I remember those envelopes that my parents used to use for their offering. I remember the pledge drives that we would have every year at church. In fact, I remember a specific pledge drive called the Pony Express. Did anybody participate in the Pony Express? We had saddlebags that contained pledge cards, and each saddlebag had a list of probably 6 families on it or so. And the saddlebag went to the first family on the list, and they filled out the pledge card, and then that family would take it to the next family on the list. I thought it was kind of silly. I remember also being on session as a high school student, and I remember being one of those stewardship callers who would go to people's houses to get the pledge cards. My church taught me a lot about giving, but I think I learned even more about money from my family, especially my mom. I learned to be frugal so that I would have enough money to give to other people. Our family didn't have a whole lot of money when I was growing up. My dad had some job problems, so he didn't always have a steady income. But my mom was very frugal, and so we always had enough. If you've ever sent me an email, you know that my email address is Frugal Woman. Being careful with my money is second nature to me. I learned it from my mom. When we went to the movies, we would go to the dollar theater. It was just $1 for everybody, and we would bring our own popcorn. I didn't think they had rules against it back then. And so when Frank and I go to the movies, I still have a hard time when he buys me popcorn at the movies. I remember my mom would use those green scratchies at the kitchen sink, and I remember once the green scratchie was almost disintegrated, and she finally laughingly said, "Well, I guess I can spend a quarter and buy another one." What that taught me was to save my money wherever I could so that I could spend it in areas that were the most important to me. I remember my parents parents giving money to their favorite charities. One of their favorite charities is the Nebraska Children's Home. That's the place where they adopted my brother and me. And I remember they always pledged to church. So it was just natural for me to learn to do that and to pledge to the church as an adult. What did you learn about money and about giving from your family? Last week I told the story of a woman who came to visit a pastor friend of mine. It was a Sunday morning right after the worship service, and the woman said she had come to pay her tithe. The woman had been living in a shelter for abused women, and she was about to move to a new city with her 2 sons. She had just received her welfare check of $330, and she wanted to pay her $33 tithe. At first, my pastor friend didn't want to take her money because she knew how much she would need it, but then she realized that for that woman, giving that tithe and trusting in God would help her much more than having the $33. What I want to know is, where did that woman learn to tithe? Did she learn it in church as a little girl? Did her parents tithe? Well, wherever she learned it, it became such a deep spiritual practice for her that when she got her welfare check, she had to pay her tithe. I wonder if giving is that much a part of us, too. I'm going to ask Frank to come up and share with us what he's learned about giving over the years and how his giving practices have changed. And I'm going to ask him to come to the lectern. So